Good afternoon and welcome to Real Chicks Rock Presents Real Discussions. I am your host, Michelle Dawes, Birt, and as always, look at me. I'm smiling. I can't stop smiling. I'm super excited to be here. It is a beautiful day in the neighborhood here in Atlanta, Georgia on a Sunday afternoon. And I'm happy because I got somebody in the studio with me again. I'm so happy. Today's show is powered by I'll say eyewear. Yes, we're going to talk more about that towards the end of the show. Also powered today's show is for the Reclamation Project. I am one of the sponsors, and we're going to talk more about that at the end of the show as well. But I just wanted to give those a quick shout out. Thanks to all the new listeners that are checking us out. Give you a little background about what Real Chicks Rock is all about. We're all about creatively collaborating to connect and raise awareness regarding issues that impact women. And we do it by way of community service, public speaking, mentoring, and workshops, and we do it by the arts, this platform right here. And so we've been doing this for a couple of seasons. I've been honored to have some really legendary people come through, and today is no different. I'm so excited. Today's topic is all about all eyes on Ash. My guest today is Ash Lauryn. Hi, Ashleigh.
Hey, Michelle. How are you?
I'm wonderful. How are you?
I'm good. Happy to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much, because you are a very, very busy individual. And so I'm so thankful that the stars aligned and our schedules worked out, that you were able to come this afternoon. But I want to kind of jump right into it because you have a lot of material I want to cover, as an artist. Born and raised in Detroit, is that the case? Tell me what's good.
Yes.
What up, though?
What up, though? So I was born in Detroit, and I actually grew up in a suburb of Detroit called Rochester Hills. Okay. So born in Detroit, grew up in Metro Detroit, kind of like maybe Gwinnett County to Atlanta.
So like a north thing of
exactly.
Detroit.
So it's about 30 minutes north of Detroit.
Okay.
Yes.
So how was it growing up in that area as a kid? How was it?
Well, I mean, it was great. My parents are both born and raised from the city, from Detroit, and I was born in the mid-'80s. And around that time, Detroit's got a little edge. Yeah. So, my parents worked hard to, move us outside of the city, and, I got a great education. I had a beautiful childhood. It was also important to my parents to keep us, rooted to the city, being that, we were born there and that's where they're from. So we definitely, went to church every Sunday in Detroit. My grandparents still lived in the city. Yeah. So it was cool. It was cool to kind of get the education and all like the luxury of, growing up in the suburbs. But I also appreciate how my parents wanted to make it a point to have us like still, be rooted in, as Detroit people.
Yeah. You're proud to be from Detroit too, and we'll talk more about that. I want to talk a little bit about your musical influences as a child. What kind of music did you listen to, Ash, growing up?
I listened to a lot of different music growing up. I mean, I'd say I got into electronic music probably around 8th grade. Okay. Prior to that, I was listening to like the Spice Girls. I loved Brandy, Christina Aguilera. I was really like obsessed with a rock group called Bush for a while. Yeah. So I was kind of into a lot of different sounds early on. I was really into Erykah Badu. But I'll say around 8th grade is when I really started to learn about electronic music. And I was learning about that through my older sister, Anne Marie. So she was the one that had kind of exposed me, to the more left field, like underground, like dance music sounds. And once I got exposed to that, like it really, really, took an interest to me. Yeah.
Was it difficult to find that type of underground sound, being that Detroit was the Motor City with the Motown sound? And, people think of Detroit, at least most African Americans or black people, we think of Detroit as, Aretha, the Stevies, Barry Gordy, just that whole soul evolution. Did you find it was difficult to find that sound that your sister shared with you?
Techno started in Detroit, but still, even to this day, that's not common knowledge in Detroit the way you would think it would be, especially with the black community, like you said. So it definitely was an underground culture. I will say, once I started finding more, about dance music through my sister, I did realize that there was some electronic music that I had been exposed to on the radio on WJLB, but I didn't know, like, specifically, like, who Underground Resistance was, who Model 500 was, but I was hearing that music literally since I was, like, 8th grade, whenever, probably even before that, and I, don't remember, but it definitely was interesting when it all started to kind of make sense, like, the music she was listening to and the parties she was going to, that was like all of kind of some of those sounds I had been hearing on the radio, and I just, wanted to find out more. It definitely wasn't as accessible as it is now, because we have the internet and there's like YouTube and there's so many different tools. But I'd say the way I started really digging for electronic music was actually going to physical music stores at that time, like Harmony House, Record Time, were some record stores I was going to back then in Detroit.
Were you sneaking into parties with Big Sis too?
Yes, I was definitely sneaking into parties. And, obviously these were raves, so I don't think they were really carding for raves. But I was, in 8th grade, so you knew I was a kid. But I used to go away to the city. My sister was going to Wayne State, which is in Midtown Detroit, and my mom would let me go visit Big Sis, visiting Big Sis in her dorm. And because my sister was like 19, and she was still young herself. I was tagging along. She definitely took me to some raves. And then once I got a little older, once I was in my 18, 19, that's around the time where I started venturing off to some events on my own.
Right. So because we love Detroit, I know you love it. That's your home, your family's from there. You've had some great growing up cultural experiences there. How did we get to Atlanta?
That's a great question. I got to Atlanta because, my freshman year of college, graduated high school 2003. Sounds like a long time ago. I'm about to stop saying the numbers in a few years. So, graduated high school. Went away to college for a year at Morgan State University in Baltimore. So I went to a black college for a year, and which was a great experience. And I got to even kind of check out some of their Baltimore club music scene when I was there, which was cool. But basically, I went there for a year. It was really, really expensive with the out-of-state tuition and everything on my parents. So we had decided for my sophomore year, I was going to move back home and go to school at Wayne State in Detroit.
Like Sis.
Yes, like Sis. But when I was at Morgan, my freshman year, my roommate was from Atlanta. And me and her became really, really close. So did the freshman year. I went back to Detroit. She actually ended up going back to Atlanta, probably for I think it was the same reason, just out-of-state tuition was really expensive. So me and her kept in contact, and I was like, man, I want to come to Atlanta to visit you. So I think by the time I finally made it down here to visit her, it was right around my 21st birthday. Or it was my 21st birthday.
The turn-up began.
Yep, so I turned 21. I think I went to Miami first, and then I went to Atlanta. Because at the time there was this airline called AirTran. AirTran, and they had a rate called X Fares. X Fares was if you were 18 to 22 years old, you could fly standby to anywhere that they went for 50 or 60 bucks. So I think I flew standby to Miami, did that, and then I was like, I think I'm going to go to Atlanta next. So got to Atlanta, and me and her hung out. Her mom was living in Snellville, so she was living out in Snellville with her mom. We were driving literally from Snellville, going all the way downtown Atlanta, hanging out, and I just was like, wow. I was just so hooked. I was all the nice cars had black people driving them, it was just a certain type of prestige, to the black culture here, and I really, really liked that. And, this was still, 2007, 2008. So there wasn't really a lot going on in Detroit at that time. And, I was 21.
So
you
was ready.
I literally just saved up a little bit of money, and I moved down here the summer of 2007.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Did you start school, continue your education?
No, I forgot to add that part. I dropped I ended up dropping out of school. So, which ended up, when I look back on it now, it was okay. But
yeah.
so I dropped out of school, came to Atlanta, honestly, with no, like, super in-set plan. I was just like, I'm 21, like, rent was so cheap.
Yes, it
You know,
was.
like, I had a cousin that was going to Clark at the time.
Yeah.
So me, my cousin, and then my homegirl who I used to be roommates
Yes.
with, we all got an apartment off Collier Road.
Yes.
$900 a month. So it was $300. My rent was $300. So I was like, I'll be able to come up with $300.
Yeah.
So.
And Collier's a good location too.
Yeah. I mean, like it was still like a proper Atlanta address.
It sure was.
So
Wow,
so that's how I got here.
That happened. That's what happened to all of us, Ashleigh. I mean, realistically, we live with our parents and we go away to college and we meet friends.
Yeah.
And we have this relationship with people, and for whatever reasons, their road leads to Atlanta. And that's the first thing we say. When I get it together, I'm coming to visit you.
Exactly.
That's what happened to me. I visited a friend of mine that I went to college with, and she was down here living with her brother. And I didn't want to come back.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, I had a good time. It was something about the air, the way people were moving. I was like, what is this Black Mecca? This is crazy.
Exactly.
This is ridiculous. Like, everybody's like saying hi. I was like, they're talking to me.
Right?
I was touching my back.
The sun is out every day.
The sun is out every day. I was like, what the hell is going on? I was like, I don't know if I want to go back to New York.
Yeah.
And I went back and I worked for like 6 months or so, and I met her brother, and he was like, I want you to come be with me. And I was like, okay.
Ooh, so it really,
You know what I'm saying? And I moved down, and I've been here ever since.
That's beautiful.
Atlanta's been good to a lot of us, and it creates a lot of opportunities, and you meet a lot of great people. So now that you're here and you're roommating, you're off Collier Road, what was the scene like for you guys? Like, were you all doing like dance music, electronica? What's happening?
So this is another interesting part of my story.
I love it.
So I was into like electronic music in high school and through my sister, and then I'd mentioned I had found out a little bit about the Baltimore club music sound when I was in Baltimore. Moved to Atlanta, could not find the house music scene at all.
Say that again.
I could not find the scene.
That's how underground it was, right?
Yes, and I will also say, at that time I was kind of transitioning into kind of like because my homegirl wasn't like a house head. She was more on like the Black Hollywood scene. So we were going to like Velvet Room. I went to Visions, Club 112. So I got my experience of that Black Hollywood kind of like hip hop, Atlanta scene.
R&B, whatever,
So I honestly, I used to Google, but even then, like at that time, Google was around, but it wasn't like, there wasn't all these Facebook groups. Like it still wasn't extremely accessible, because I would try. I would be like, man, I just want to hear some house music. So I'd say for like the first 3 or 4 years, didn't have anything. About maybe the first 3 years. And then in 2010, I was out drinking with a friend of mine that's from DC, and he was like, I'm going to invite my my homeboy from Detroit. I was like, okay, cool. So my friend from DC that I was kicking it with, he was like really into like all types of music and whatnot, and we all started talking about music, and somehow house music came up. And I was like telling my friend's friend, like, I've been in Atlanta like 3-4 years now, like I haven't found any house music events, like I just need something. And he was like, you haven't heard about House in the Park? He's like, you don't know about House in the Park? I'm like, no. So he told me about it. I went home, I like went, they had a proper website. I went to the website, and this was still months before. I don't remember what time of year it was. I'd say maybe it was like March or April.
Okay.
So it was still months away, but my sister was also living here by this time. So I was like, I found the house music in Atlanta. Like, it's called House in the Park. So we literally were like counting down, like Xing off the days off the calendar, like, like Labor Day weekend, like we're going to do this. So I remember like that day we got there. This is when it was still at Perkison Park. We got there maybe at like 11:30 or maybe like right at 12 when the gates open. We walked in, and when I tell you, like, I mean, that one experience just opened. It changed everything. And I had already been to DEMF in Detroit. I had been to that, but I was still kind of young. So although I knew about dance music and I liked it, I still wasn't all the way engulfed in it the way I got from that 2010 experience. So, because I did the hip hop thing too, and I just realized like this really isn't for me, and I just wanted to get back in a space and in a community where I really felt like I could just be myself. And in 2010 at House in the Park, that's when everything kind of came back full circle.
How beautiful for you.
Yeah.
That's a beautiful thing. I am a house head. I'm a hip hop person and I'm a house head. And when I moved here, I was like really bugging out because I couldn't find anything for the longest. And I was in these relationships, Ash, that they didn't love music the way I loved music. And so I found myself getting further and further away from what really makes up who I am. So going forward, just a disclaimer for those that are leaning in, if you do not love music, please do not holler at me. Okay? Because there are certain things that are non-negotiable. And I really did not find House in the Park until I was divorced.
Wow.
You know what I mean? So I found it in 2012, 2013. So I was really late to the game. And when I got there, I remembered I literally had a tear. Because it was so good for my soul.
Especially to be after those years of being away.
And to be in a space with all like-minded people, like just getting their life. That's how I remembered house music. And so it was just a beautiful thing. So shouts out to the founder and curator of House in the Park, Ramon Rousseau, because we loved you. We love what you're doing. And your partner, Kyle, said, And the men that hold you up. Right. Salah and DJ Kemet.
Shouts out.
All of y'all. So, so we love House in the Park. So that changed your life then, right? So now.
No, literally, like, ever since that time, that's when I realized, like, that this is my life's passion. I liked it before, but it was something about that 2010 experience that really, I think I had matured a lot. I was, finally, almost adulthood. So, it hit different. And, I'm glad I went. And, I mean, and same for my sister. That was also, like, kind of like the portal of her getting super, back into the scene and interested in the music as well.
So House in the Park is a great way to meet and connect with other people. So I'm assuming that's where you started to find out about
I
all
took
the other things, right?
Every business card I could, because I don't even think Instagram was out. There wasn't like it was like literally business cards, like mix CDs. People were giving out CDs. So and then I think maybe like Facebook. I connected with some people on Facebook, and from there I went to Timbre Party, and then I think I met Salah, I met Kai. So like it all kind of, the rabbit hole just opened up after that. But at that event I definitely was like trying to meet people and like figure out what was going on. And like I still have the pictures till this day, but I have a really funny picture of like, I kind of cropped it so you could see how we looked before and after. Because when we got there, we were all cute. Like we had our hair straight. I had the Gucci purse on. Like, I was like cute, still kind of on my Gucci stuff a little bit. But like at the end of the festival, like our hair is all crazy. We walked to the car barefoot, and we had on flats, but that's how hard we danced. Like my feet walked to the car bare. Like we looked like we had just been through like hell. But we went through heaven though. It was great. There was nothing bad about it. We just really danced that hard. And like you said, just I probably cried that day too, now that I think back on it, like after kind of being away from that environment and kind of needing it, I knew I needed it more than I realized once you're there in the thick of it. It's
a spiritual thing. And I know your current schedule is so busy. I was excited to see you because I know you had some things going before and you had some stuff going after, and I was like, hey, Ashley, this is great, because it's like a family reunion. We all get to see each other in this kind of space. And it's wonderful. I want to talk to you about, now you mentioned about you met Salah and you met Kai, and I wanted to understand, like, how did you and Kai and these guys, how did you guys like connect? You were just a dancer at this point, or still are you starting to love the music? Not really touching the needle yet, right? Are you?
So no, when I met Kai, I don't think I was actually like DJ. I definitely wasn't DJing. And I think it actually will be like 10 years like in a week when I met Kai. It was at a Halloween party at this space that was called Social Resto. And John Roberts, the drummer, he used to drum. Salah would play. I don't know if Kai was playing, but he was there. So me and my sister met Kai, and we were like, we're from Detroit. He's like, y'all are from Detroit? I'm from Detroit. And I have a picture from that night, too. Like, I always remember that's the night we met Kai. I think we may have met Salah before that. But so I went to House in the Park 2010. That's when I got sucked back into it. So that's what inspired me to start going back to Detroit for the Movement Festival. So I had been, DEMF and Movement are the same thing. It used to be called DEMF, now it's called Movement. So I had been, like, when I was in high school, kind of just walking through with my sister, you know, and I liked it. So stopped going for many years, and then in 2011, you know, after the House in the Park, we were back into it. So we're like, let's start going back to Movement.
Right.
So 2011 specifically, at Movement is when I got the idea, playing around with the idea of wanting to DJ.
Wow.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
So you were going back there curating your sound, or just trying to just stay in touch with the thing that you love the most?
Yeah, I just was still at that point. I mean, I wasn't really plotting on the DJ thing or what I would even play. I just truly loved the music.
Yeah.
So, I mean, even at this point, I've been like a fan and a dancer way longer than I've been DJing.
Yeah.
So even though I was like playing around with the idea, I can't say I was like, oh, I'm going to play this. You know, I just was going out and dancing and just taking notes, really. And the way I look at it now, it's like, I guess I kind of was like studying in a sense, but I like it because it was like an organic study. It wasn't like, oh, like what can I play when I DJ or like when I make it. I just was like, oh, this is good. I like this. I want to look up and study more music like this. So it definitely wasn't like me trying to study people in hopes of me blowing up to be a big DJ.
You were just loving music.
I just love the music.
You just love music. You love music. And I want to talk about Lauryn, because what I found really so amazing about you is that you had an opportunity to host parties at the sound table.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
And tell us a little bit about that for those that don't know.
So, well, I had the residency with Stefan, but that was once I started DJing. So I did throw 2 events. They weren't actually at the sound table. Me and my sister threw events under a name called Techno Sisters.
Techno Sisters,
yeah.
That's right.
So we threw a party. It was close to the sound table. I mean, it was, I think it's literally like a storage unit now. They tore the facility down. But I think we had Yusuf play. We had this guy named Trace Hazen play, like a young kid that maybe I found online somewhere. And I mean, not a lot of people really showed up. I mean, the parties weren't like that epic, but I mean, it's really cool just to go back now and to see some of the pictures and just to realize that we wanted to contribute something.
Yes.
You know what I mean? We wanted to contribute something more than just, because I think, you know, once we started partying and hanging out again, we were like, wow, we love this. We want to not just be girls at the event. We want to host our own events as well.
Exactly.
So that is what, you know, we did a couple of those, and one, I think actually we did do one with Kay Hand at the sound table. I forgot about. So and that was actually before I was DJing. I think I had gear by that time at home, but I was still very quiet. Like no one really knew. But yeah, I think it was also cool just to kind of, you know, learn the tricks of a trade, a little bit about being a promoter and booking artists, and, you know, what happens behind the scenes as well.
There's a lot that's involved, because people think they could just up and do a party, but there's a lot involved in just doing that.
Yeah, especially if you're booking an artist, like a big artist, and, you know, things got to be right.
Got to be right, and revenue has to be generated in the sense that knowing that people are going to come, we're going to have a good time. Like there's no guest list tonight, it's going to be very short. I need everybody to pay because I got to pay this DJ. So it's a thing that goes with it, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, it's a whole thing. Yeah, that's an awesome thing. And the one thing about our culture, I'm going to speak about house music, the soulful side. We're a little stubborn. Like, we're hard to embrace things out of our box or out of the norm. And I think sometimes we're like, what are other people going to think? Are everybody's liking that? Or I like soul, I like Afro, I like this. And so I think that you coming and bringing techno might have helped some people feel like, wow, I'm not the only black person that likes techno.
Exactly.
Right? There's other people that's like, I grew up from the Midwest, like Detroit and Chicago. I know that feeling. I know that vibe. And I'm here in Atlanta and I'm not getting that. And so it's like, I know people were starting to feel like, oh, okay, I remember this. Right? Did you start feeling that?
I mean, well, and that's very interesting that you say that, because I did start to realize pretty early on that the Atlanta sound is, you know, like they're very, like, you know, the Afro house.
It's a very, like, it's very pocketed, and it's unintentional, but it's like, So you're coming to bring something different, and like, I want to, but it's kind of like, what will people think if they saw me going to a techno?
Yeah.
I don't, like, am I supposed to? Am I allowed to listen? Yes, you're allowed to listen to whatever you want to listen to,
exactly.
Right? So the culture's changed. The culture has changed.
Yeah, and house and techno, go together.
Exactly.
So even an artist like Kay Hand, like, she's popular because of her house and techno tracks. So someone like me, I can definitely say, like, living in Atlanta has influenced my sound in terms of, like, leaning more so towards the soulful side, but I definitely have a side of me that can play very left field, because it's not always time to be happy and soulful. Like, it could be like some dark warehouse late night Halloween party. It may not be time for the uplifting, joyous. So I think, just overall for any DJ, like, of course, the soulful, happy, uplifting stuff, that's probably what I'm known for most, but I definitely make it a point to play other type of music and other sounds as well, because I think you limit yourself also by only sounding one way, and music is so vast. Like, there's amazing, good, soulful techno, you know what I mean? Like, techno made by Black people is good. So, I would say, like, I think it's important to embrace different sound. Do what you love, of course. I think everyone has their niche or their lane, but I definitely think it's important also to kind of, like, be able to showcase some other sides to yourself as well.
And for me to show that I'm, open to growth and understanding, because growing up in New York in the Bronx, it was a certain type of sound that I was used to.
Yeah.
And so for me to go to movement was important, right? Because it opened me up to understand, because I was getting tastes and snippets from whenever DJs from Detroit would come and play. You hear and you get that feel. And of course, Kai was here and he'd give you a taste and then what you were doing. But it was great to go to movement and get that, like, for a couple of days, and then go by the radio station where Stacey Hale, her artifacts are in the station, and they were doing live broadcasts because it was sponsored by Red Bull, and it was.
Oh, you went to the Red Bull studio. Okay, yeah.
Those, and I went in there, really cool. Like, wow, this is really dope. Like, very cool. So to be in there and really touch and hear and get a sense of it, and it's really good to understand that this music is music. It's good, and people were dancing to it, and they were feeling good, and they knew the words, and were singing, and was dancing, and it was a great thing. But what I really liked about movement too was the off-beaten path parties. Like, the parties were everywhere.
Yeah, everywhere.
And while I was up there, I was like, I'm checking out this young lady right here. And you had a boiler room opportunity.
Yes.
That was dope.
Yes. Well, in Detroit? Or?
Yes, in Detroit. It was a boiler room. The mic cover said boiler room. It was a young lady with a British accent.
Okay. Yeah. Right? Sorry. I'm like, wait, which one? I'm like, I just did one.
You've done so many. You've done so much.
That was actually, what did I do? I DJ'd a set.
Yes.
It wasn't like a boiler room live stream, but Boiler Room did host the event, and it was like a DJ workshop / party. So I hosted a DJ. It was actually really cute.
It was cute.
I hosted a DJ workshop for, like, some young women, like, from Detroit that were, like, maybe like teenagers and younger.
Nice.
So we did that, and then I did a set, and that was at L Club outside. I do remember you were there now. Yeah, it's coming back to me.
Yeah,
sorry.
It was really nice. It was a really nice turnout. It was very comfortable and casual, but it was great.
Yeah, like a daytime kind of, like, chill. Yeah.
But I took honor being able to see you play in your home city.
Thank
how
you.
often do we get a chance to witness that?
Exactly.
And you were in your element, you were in your vibe, and it was just really great. And it was a lot of females there supporting you, and guys were bigging you. It was a great little nice afternoon that I had to watch you. And you just were gone, and people you were just in the zone. You had on your Van sneakers. Yeah. You were like, yo, I'm doing it. Yeah, you had a good time. It was a really good experience. So,
Thank you.
Do you try to get to movement every year? I know we talked about it in the green room that this year was virtual, but do you?
Yeah, so I've been going back every single year since 2011. Yeah, I went for the first time in 2003, and I went in 2004. Then I took, I was in my little own world for a while. So yeah, 2011 was when I started going back. And in 2019 is when I started doing the UndergroundandBlack movement party. So unfortunately, the second year would have been 2020. That got canceled. 2021, it still wasn't quite time yet. But I do have like the venue and everything locked for 2022. And we're going to go, as far as I'm concerned, if everyone's still available, it will be the lineup that I had for 2020 that got canceled.
Nice. I want to go into your bedroom because I want to talk to you about when you were bedroom DJing. You was in the bedroom, you're DJing. Maybe giving us a snippet here and there. What cracked it for you, Ashleigh? When did you say, I'm ready to come on out and start DJing? When did that hit for you?
Like when I was ready to get out of the bedroom?
Yes.
I don't know if it was me. It was more so like someone just offered me an opportunity for a gig. Yeah. So I had been practicing on my own at home for at least 3 years before I got my first gig.
Really?
I think I did a DJ session with Kai. Me and Stefan were always kind of practicing, and there was like a few other people who I practiced with. You always like to give people their props because sometimes it gets weird. There's people who feel left out, but there was a lot of people, that did help me, and I'm very grateful and appreciative. But I also was very just practicing like on my own at home, just kind of like imagining myself like one day I'm gonna be out there. So I think, once I got a little more comfortable, I had put my very first mix on SoundCloud, and Vicky Powell, who was my neighbor, who's been DJing in Atlanta. She's like a legendary queer woman DJ, like founder of the Deep South Collective that I'm also a part of. So I don't even remember how I figured out that me and Vicky were neighbors, but we didn't know for a while.
Wow.
And her condo was right across from mine.
Wow.
So, excuse me, we somehow figured out we were neighbors, and we were friends on Facebook, and I think she had saw I posted my mix. And she was like, I checked out your mix. It was cool. She was like, I think you should come play with me sometimes if you're ever ready. So we had talked about it, and she invited me to unofficially open an event at this place called Heretic on Cheshire Bridge, which is like a legendary like queer club that's one of the last standing ones kind of in that realm that's still there because, that neighborhood's changing so much. But she invited me to play Heretic, and there wasn't a flyer or anything. It was just like a low-key like practice, which kind of I wanted too, because I didn't know if I was ready to be like, hey, my first gig. So she invited me. I remember I got there, and I don't remember if like maybe her Uber or something happened, like, so she was late. Ooh. So I ended up having to play like longer than I was supposed to, but I was like killing it. Like, it really was kind of coming together. So when I got there, she was like, this is really good, like play a little longer. So I played a little longer, and then I think maybe the next month she officially booked me for an event, and they promoted it, and not long after they invited me, or she invited me to be a resident DJ with the Deep South Collective. And from that point, once Vicky invited me to be a part of Deep South, like, everything was wrapped up. She started hooking me up with like a lot of her people in other states. Then other people that I knew were like, oh, like you're out here now.
Gone. Ash was gone.
And it was also interesting. Stefan always calls it the perfect storm. But I mean, it really was, because I had already invested so much time in dance music. So I had so many connections. I knew a lot of people. And I liked that too, because I wasn't getting to know people of like, oh, hey, I'm Ash Lauryn. Like, I was just a girl on the scene. So again, like, it definitely worked. And it was also a time where people were starting to get into the whole female DJ thing, even though I hate that. I don't like to use that term. But that also, helped me out. And it still helps me out, because I realize people are still trying to, reach that quota. They want to include more women. But that said, I do know that all of my opportunities have been presented to me because I'm a talented individual.
You are a talented...
Not just because I'm a woman, but there was a lot of things in the universe that aligned for me to become successful. So I'm just very, very grateful just for the universe and for God and the people around me.
That's why this conversation is
worked out.
Because I want people to understand that this wasn't a fly-by-night thing for you.
Exactly.
You always loved music, one.
Yeah, I went to my first rave when I was 14.
Yeah, right.
So
that's important.
Yeah, I didn't just jump on the bandwagon.
Right, and you have been practicing home quietly for years.
For 3 years, and no one knew.
No one knew. You were like, now and then get a little peek. It wasn't even that. The needle would be on the record. You might just say, I like this track, and you show a little bit of it on Facebook. Like, just that didn't tell us you were DJing. Yeah. It was just like,
I actually have a video that I randomly found that I put on YouTube of me practicing in like 2013. See? It's still up, and I was like, I'm not even gonna take it down because it's so funny. It's so funny to go back and look, because I remember, I used to like write my sets down. Yeah, I used to just put a lot more into it than what I now. It's kind of more natural.
Feeling. It's a feeling now.
Yeah, exactly.
I remember when you came to me, you said this was it was Greenhouse. I don't remember the year, and I was walking by. I said, "Hi, Ashleigh." You said, "Hey, how you doing?" You was on the grass by yourself, just having a little time to yourself, and you said, "I got this mix. I want you to listen to it."
Ooh, okay.
And I said, "Sure." I grabbed my heart. I was like, "Sure, I'll listen to it." And I thought it was really good.
Thank you.
I thought it was good. I responded. I listened to it, and you gave it to me in the DM of Facebook or something like that. And I listen. When people give me a mix, I take the time to listen to it, because to me that's very complimentary. They think enough of your opinion or just you just catching the vibe. Do them a solid. Listen to the mix. And so I listened to it, and I thought, I was like, she's out of here. When people find out how good you are, it's going to be a wrap. And sure enough,
thank you.
You're gone. Like you're doing your thing. That was like years ago.
Yeah. So I'm a very, very like nostalgic person. So, and I always save artifacts and like, I don't know, it takes like, there's just a lot of things that even come across now where I'm like, wow, like this was all kind of meant to be. And like, it's so interesting. Like I didn't really realize it back then, but it's just like, now that I look back on it, I just realize like a lot of my life was kind of prepping me to be where I am today and where I'm going. And so it's very, very just affirming, especially for someone who dropped out of college. I've had every job in the world. Like I've worked in the hospitality industry. I took a course on teaching English as a second language. I worked at a car dealership. Like I've just worked so many jobs. So you know what I mean? So it's cool to finally, in my 30s, to be at a point where I finally kind of figured out what I want to do with my life, what I'm truly good at, and what is finally working.
Yeah, you do speak well.
Thank you.
You do. And you have a very sexy raspiness
to
your voice. You could do voiceovers too on the side.
Yeah.
You got
I get that sometimes.
Yeah, you got a sexy voice, and the whole thing's like, "Hi, hey Michelle, how you doing?" I'm like, "Oh, your voice is raspy, it's good," and you're just a beautiful package inside and out.
Thank you.
I want to talk about how I see sometimes periodically, and I'm not stalking. Don't judge me.
I'm not.
Come on, you guys, don't judge. It comes the algorithm. It comes through.
We all do it.
And I see it come through. And so you're writing, you do articles for different people and things, contributing editors and writers. Talk to me a little bit about that. That's exciting.
So journalism was actually what I went to school for.
You see?
So I was a broadcast journalism major. I have been writing. I was just like a super hardcore like journal person in journals. But my grandmother, rest in peace, who passed away early 2020. But yeah, she was my inspiration. She was a journalist. She worked for the Michigan Chronicle. She was the woman's editor, and that is the Black-owned newspaper if you're familiar with like the Chicago Defender.
Yes.
So historical Black-owned newspaper in Detroit that's still there till this day, still going. So my grandma was a journalist. So it's interesting because I feel like writing and journalism was in my roots, because my great-grandfather, her father, actually owned a newspaper called the Hannibal Registrar in Hannibal, Missouri, where my grandma grew up. So they were reporting news to the Black people in the community. So it's definitely kind of in my DNA. I was writing in high school, and I kind of stopped writing as much. I had like a kind of a period of time where I wasn't writing, but I started my blog in 2017, which is UndergroundandBlack. And I wasn't thinking about it at the time, but I started UndergroundandBlack to talk about my experiences as a Black woman and some of my issues just as a Black person in the industry, in the community. And it's so interesting now because I'm like, oh, like my great-grandfather, they were reporting to the Black people in the community, and I'm kind of doing that in a sense as well. So yeah, I started my blog 2017. A lot of people really, really were liking the blog because it was at a time where I was just really, really being vulnerable. I will not lie, like I'm not as vulnerable now as I was then. Some of the topics and things I would touch on at that time, I was just more comfortable with being vulnerable, but I think it resonated with a lot of people because you also have to understand, like, being new to a craft or being new in the music industry, like, it's not always peachy keen. Like, my journey has been beautiful, but it doesn't mean that I haven't had trials and tribulations or haters or just whatever. So, I would talk about those type of things on my blog. I would also talk about good things, but I was realizing like the posts that people really liked or, would give me feedback the most on were the ones where I was just like going through some, excuse my French, going through some real stuff. So yeah, Underground and Black, it started out as the blog, and I still update it, and not as much as I used to. I'm in a weird space with the blog because, again, like, it was my space to be very vulnerable about some of the issues and things that I've gone through, and I don't know, sometimes you just don't want to be I'm in a different space, I won't lie. So I'm like, I don't know, maybe I'll just call my sister or talk to my peers about some of my trials and tribulations. I'm not as open to talking about everything, but that's not to say that I won't continue to update it, because there's other types of content on there as well, and also I do freelance for I freelanced for Resident Advisor, Mixmag, I'm gonna forget, Beatport, like a lot of different music publications I've freelanced for, and still am. I'm definitely more so on my DJ path, but I'd say like 2020 when we were on like lockdown and not as much touring, I definitely was writing a lot more, which was good and is also affirming because it's cool to do something that I've always done, because before music it was writing. So those are the only things I've ever really been passionate about or said I really wanted to do and meant it.
This is a beautiful story.
Thank you. So yeah, I feel like I'm working on something right now. Well, I just had a piece published last week. So I'm still writing. You did have not as much, but I'm still doing it.
You are, because people are asking for you, for your talents to come out and write. And for those that are listening and really can't see, Ashleigh's a beautiful person, So I can only imagine some of the challenges or opportunities that you might have come across when you first started, because sometimes as women, I'm gonna keep it a buck, they don't look at us intelligent and smart, like you had to have done something with someone to get where you are,
that part,
to get the doors open and blah 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 blah. And I think it's very important that people understand that you're so smart and you're so intentional in what you're doing, and that you can articulate what you want. And so that the people that are working with you see that in you. It's not because of some other thing or fantasy or anything like that. It's because they see your drive and they see where you're trying to go. And some people in your life, in your circle today, are really genuine in trying to help you get to where that is in your life.
Exactly.
I sense that in your tribe. And I'm talking about the Stefans and the Kais and the people that I know here in Atlanta that I see that are part of your community that are really like, we believe in you, no doubt.
I mean, and that's so important important because I think sometimes it's easy for us to focus on the haters or people who don't like what we're doing. But I realize,
where's she come from?
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
Where is she? She came out of nowhere doing this. What? She's on the bill with Vicky.
So I still get into those modes where I'm like too focused on who didn't say something or who did say something that was negative. But like you said, when you have a community or I don't want to call it a team, like just literally a family and a community of people around you that support you and want to see you win. It's best to just focus on that because there's way more people. I mean, what I realized, there's way more people that I have that support me than don't. So if you got like 5 or 10 people, even if it's 20, oh well, that's fine because you got 100 people that care, if not more. You know what I mean? So I think whenever you're new to something and you become maybe successful before people think you should or they feel like they wish it was them or whatever may have you or they don't think you're good, you know, that's always there in any industry. So, I think as long as you have those people that support you and believe in you and that you can talk to and want to see you win and you're, confident in your skills and what you have to offer, all the other stuff just doesn't matter.
Was there ever a time, Ash, that you said, F it, I'm not doing this. I'm quitting.
Nope.
Good for you.
No, I've never said that.
You never said you wanted to quit.
I mean, even if I do find out there's someone that doesn't like, I'm like, oh well, because I ain't going nowhere.
Said,
no.
You never wanted to quit? Like, no. Good for you.
Because I've quit too many other things in my lifetime. But also, I'm just so affirmed in this journey that quitting isn't an option because that would make me sad. Because I love it. I love it too much.
You love it too much.
Yeah.
And I want people to take this and wherever you are in your life and apply that. Like, if this is something you're doing that is so passionate, like, if you were not doing it, it would break your heart, then you can't quit.
Yeah, I mean, and to just be able to live your passion is literally like one of the most beautiful life experiences that I think I'll ever have. Because I've been on the other side. I've worked jobs that I didn't like, or I was trying to figure it out, on the internet. What can I do? Should I go back to school? Should I do this? Should I just try to get married? Like, you know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? Like, those are the type of things you think
you're
about.
Thinking about,
especially when you're,
somebody going to help me when I'm married?
Right, exactly. Am I just going to get saved or what? Because I got to figure something out. So luckily, I figured it out. And I'm like literally, DJing full time, supporting myself, working towards, some personal goals of mine. So
you quit with us publicly on Facebook. You was like, I quit my job. Like, that's it. I'm done. I'm a full-time DJ. I think, when was that? Like, 2 years, a couple of years ago?
Well, this is another interesting story.
I
got a lot of stories about this, but this is a good story. So in February of 2020, I left my full-time job because DJing was starting to get really busy. I was traveling. It was just hard to I was doing stuff like traveling to play a gig in London and then literally flying right back, having my car parked at the airport and driving my car to work. So stuff like that was just getting crazy. And I wasn't able to take as much time off. It was just the time for me to leave. So February of 2020, I was working for U.S. Foods as a sales coordinator, which was honestly a great job. Like, if I was going to do the corporate thing, I guess that was maybe a good company,
Okay.
But again, it wasn't my passion. I was sitting at a desk all day, yada, yada. So I left my job in late February of 2020, and on March, around March 10th or 11th, I had a big tour over in Europe. So I had this big tour planned. I had literally the biggest Europe tour I had done. Everybody sent me well wishes. I left my job. They're like, go live your DJ dream. Go over there, girl. Got to Europe. COVID hit. Whole tour got canceled a day after I got there. Because remember, it was it went from not that serious to serious overnight. So even when I was flying over there the day before, it wasn't oh, your gigs are canceled, don't come. There was maybe a little bit, but no one really knew how serious it was. So I was like, I'm not about to cancel my tour and not go. The flights were booked. Tours are planned for months. So I was like, oh, I'm going. So flew over there to Berlin. Like I said, everything got canceled literally within 24 hours of me getting there, which was really, really sad and kind of depressing because I was just like, okay, there goes all that money. I just left my job. Then, Trump was like, okay, we're closing the borders, but didn't specify that if you had an American passport, you could come back.
Yeah.
So no one knew that, so everyone's blowing me up like, oh my God, are you okay? Like, where are you? I was fine. Like, Berlin is like, it's like being in Detroit. So many friends, so many,
you did well in Berlin.
So I was fine, but, people just don't. My mom was like, oh my God. Like, so yeah, it took me a few days to get home. I had to, move some stuff around. And again, like all that income was lost from those gigs. And I just remember I came back home like a few days later with my big old suitcase because I was supposed to be over there for a month. So I came back, and I remember just walking back up. The Uber dropped me off. I'm walking up to my apartment building. I just started crying because I was just like, oh, my God. Like, what? Like, how did this happen? How am I back at this house already? How am I back? So,
with
anyway.
No job and no source of income.
Right. Oh, my God.
How scary is that?
So I took advantage of all those programs that they had. So luckily, I did survive. And the last interesting part of the story is that I actually did get another job after that because I didn't know if DJing was going to truly pick back up in 2021. So in February of 2021, I got a job working online for Square.
Okay.
So I won't even go into detail though. But basically, it was a work from home job in their customer success department. But it was basically people just cussing you out and complaining all day. And I was like, okay, this is cool. It's work from home. But I'm like, this is not good for my mental health. So I literally quit. I did the training for a month. I quit just on the job, like within a week of starting. I quit and I was like, you know what? I'm about to just get back on my DJ stuff. So a booking agency had reached out to me maybe like a few months prior, and I decided not to join because I was like, there's no gigs right now.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'll join when it makes sense. But this was a really like one of the biggest booking agencies in North America.
Yeah.
So I quit the job. I called my accountant. I'm like, hey, let's apply for that PPP loan. So we did that.
Yeah.
I called the booking agency, and I was like, I think I'm ready to join.
Yeah.
Joined the booking agency, and like
Non-stop.
literally, I have been busy. And then the vaccine came out all around this time, too. So it was like the PPP, the vaccine, and, I signed with the booking agency.
So this is like spring. Things are looking good for you in spring. The
Exactly. Yep. So they started working on bookings for me in the summer.
Nice.
Because it was still March, but bookings happen months in advance.
Yes.
So they were working. I was setting up some stuff on my own. And basically, I've been busy DJing and touring pretty much since Memorial Day weekend.
You've been nonstop.
Yeah.
You are a beast.
Yeah.
You put your October schedule up. I was like,
Yeah.
I slapped my forehead. I was like, oh my goodness. I was like, let me see which day. Ooh, I might be able to get her here.
Yeah.
Because you are busy.
Yeah.
Good for you.
Yeah.
And then, people, it's just not even local. Like, it's not even it's not even local or national, domestic. It's international. You're out of here.
Yeah.
You were up in New York just a few weeks ago, right? But you up in New York.
Yeah,
So you're back
I'm in New York. I'm in New York all the time. That's my place. I love New York. I swear, the last time I was there, I was like, I'm about to move here. I'm good now. It was, you had those moments. But I look at them rent prices or how much it would cost if you want to buy something. I'm like, nope. I'm gonna stay right in Georgia.
You just gotta travel in the LaGuardia. Just get that money.
Yeah, exactly. Fly in
because it's so expensive to stay there.
Yeah,
but you look good there. You look at home. You look good
anywhere.
Anywhere
Thank
you
you.
go, Lauren, you look. Actually, you look like you're at home.
Thank you.
You just do a really good job.
You know how us Geminis do.
Yeah.
We adapt to our surroundings, so it don't matter. Wherever I go, I'm gonna make the best of it and get comfortable.
Best of it, and it feels like family wherever you go.
It does, especially with electronic music,
Yes.
because I have so many friends, a part of the community in New York.
Yes.
Same with LA.
Yes.
Same with Berlin. I mean, it's interesting. Like, probably just seems like everywhere when you're a part of dance music, there's probably at least one or two people that you could connect with, or they could tell you where to go, or give you a place to stay, or something.
Yeah,
So.
but it's going well for you. Producing music, that's something on the horizon for you.
So I just came out with the EP. So my production is all pretty much collaborative with Stefan. So Stefan is my partner, and we have
Stefan Ringer.
Yeah, we've been working together musically. me too.
He's a nice guy. And he's good at what he does.
He's very, very good. So I always want to like specify, like even the solo project I did, it's a solo project because I wrote all the lyrics and did the vocals. But in terms of the behind the scenes, nuts and bolts of the production, I owe all of that to Stefan. He's very talented. He's very sharp, and we have a good little energy, you know, like when we work in the studio, and I think we both bring something kind of different to the table, and it works. So I just had an EP that came out on his label, FWM Entertainment, and it's called The Truth EP, and it has 3 tracks, and one of them is a remix, or 4 tracks, and one is a remix by Ashleigh.
Ashleigh too, the
So everybody loves the Ashleigh remix. So
yes, I love.
So to get a remix from him was definitely very special.
It's awesome. These are your people. This is your family.
Yeah. So I feel really blessed.
They got your back, your front, your side. You just have nothing but success written all over you. This is an awesome place for you.
Thank you.
This is good, and this is a good story. This is good for people to know, to have hope, because during this pandemic, people started doing things that they loved more of.
Right.
That they didn't touch or didn't think they would ever have the bandwidth or the opportunity to invest. And so now that we are starting to come back out, people are coming out differently than the way that they went in.
And they're not taking the crap from their day jobs no more. They're not taking the low pay or anything. And I really like that we're moving into this, because it's like, I mean, if you are going to be working a job maybe that you don't like, that, like, at least be paying people a living wage. You know, it's crazy just to think how many people still just aren't getting paid a living wage. So it is good to see that we're moving into a time where people are a little more interested in following their dream and doing something that they actually enjoy doing and making more money, because it's not getting any less expensive to live in America.
Not at all.
To be able to find something that you like or love to do, and it's enough to sustain, you know, your family or your lifestyle or whatever may have you, like that's a great place to be in.
You move in a space of having no regrets, Ashleigh. What would you tell your younger self, that 14-year-old, that 8th grader? What would you tell her today, now that you know what you've gone through? Is there anything that you would tell her for a piece of advice for her to take a different course or do anything differently?
I would say just don't give up on yourself. Don't give up. Not that I ever did, but I mean, I won't lie. There were moments where maybe I felt like I wanted to.
And that's keeping it real.
Just don't give up on yourself. Like, if you're special and you know there's something inside of you that's special and you're meant for greatness, just keep going until you find it, because that's literally where I was at. You know, whether I was going to be, you know, a broadcaster or whatever, you know, just throughout my life and my ancestry, you know, my grandfather played, he's one of the last living Negro League baseball players. Like, I come from a very, like, educated, successful black family, and I say that very humbly, but just that in itself always made me realize that I was special and I was supposed to be doing something special. So when I had those moments where I was down on myself or just trying to figure it out, you know, like, I kind of always kept the faith that there was something coming. And I'm just so grateful that it finally came. And it really came for me in my late 20s. So I also realized, like, you can't put a number on these things or a time. You know what I mean? Some people find what they're meant to do early on. Some find it later. It's never too late. It's never too late. So I would just say, don't give up on yourself and just keep trying at it until you find out what works for you and where you want to be, because that's when you can live authentically and be happy. And that's what it's about.
That's what's up. That's what's up. And sometimes some of us don't have that legacy that you've come from, which is amazing. We know collectively as a whole, black people are phenomenal as a race, as a culture, everything that we do. But then there's these individual family pockets that our dynamics are different. I want to encourage people to find their tribe, right? Find the people that resonate in the space that you're trying to get to, so that this way your dreams don't seem so far-fetched. Right? They become more tangible because people are speaking the language, they're moving in the direction you're trying to get to. So embody yourself with people that are doing what you want to do, or you're doing it already and they're doing it at another level or whatever it is. But don't, you know, I totally agree, don't give up on yourself.
And it's interesting that you say find your tribe, because the article the most recent article I wrote that was published last week, it was kind of just like a small piece on like 5 years of DJing, 5 things I've learned.
Yes.
And one of those 5 things was to find your community, find your tribe, because I did say it made it that much easier for me to get to where I am now in these 5 years, because I was already rubbing elbows, you know, with people, you know, and I always make it a point, like, don't be on no, like, groupie just trying to get in where you fit in, but authentically find your tribe, support those people, go check out DJs.
Support those people.
Yeah, like,
That's
I mean,
key.
the first time I went to Europe, you know, it wasn't to DJ, I went to ADE by myself,
I've gone to ADE
just
too.
to check out Europe
check
and
out the
to go
vibe.
see some DJs I liked playing.
Absolutely,
So,
absolutely.
and you meet people when you do stuff like that,
All
so
the
you
time.
never know who you will meet, but yeah, find your tribe, find your family, your community.
What's next for Ash, Lauryn? What's next for you?
What's next for me is just DJing, touring. I'll be going back over to Europe again.
Of course.
Making up some of those gigs that were canceled.
Yeah.
So I'll be doing that next month. Going to Colombia.
Oh,
Doing domestic stuff as well.
That's a new spot.
The EP that I just came out, that's coming out on vinyl. So that should be here hopefully within about 2 months, depending on how long that takes. So
You got a big party coming along. I see it, a sponsored post. Danny Kravitz.
ooh, yeah. Okay, so yeah, that's the next Atlanta gig. Is it? Yeah, that's the next Atlanta gig,
Next one.
November
I'll be there
6th.
for that one. Yeah, that's gonna be dope.
Yeah, that will probably be probably one of my biggest gigs, or if not the sole biggest gig I've played in Atlanta.
Yes.
So I'm very excited.
About that. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
some legendary people. you
Yeah,
play
I
with.
was like very honored that they asked me.
They
yeah.
asked you. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's
So
awesome.
yeah, so I was like, of course. I'm like, when, y'all need me now or what? Like, because I can come right now. And they were like, no, November 6th, you good. Just I was like, okay, cool.
How can people find you, Ashleigh? How can people find you on the social media platforms? Where are you?
So I'm on Instagram, Ash_Lauryn_, and Lauryn is Lauryn.
Yeah.
Like Lauryn Hill.
Yeah.
Same on Twitter, Ash_Lauryn_. If you want to check out my blog,
Yes.
UndergroundandBlack.com.
Yep.
And do I have anything? Oh, SoundCloud, SoundCloud.com/Ash Lauryn. I have a gang of mixes on there. And I also am still doing my monthly NTS radio show. So you can go to the NTS radio website and look up Ash Lauryn, and all of the Underground and Black monthly radio shows are archived there.
Nice. One last question.
Yeah.
Any person you want to play with that you haven't already? That's a loaded.
I know. I'm like, I hate these on the spot. Who I haven't played with yet?
Anybody you'd like to play with?
Well, I know there's a woman called Jada G, who's a DJ. She's Canadian, and she's based in the UK, and she's
Okay.
like a big disco, soul, house music DJ.
Ah.
Really, really full of energy,
Yes.
bursting with life. Just cool. We've connected online, but she just seems really, really cool, and she's definitely a Black woman that I've been watching literally kill it for the past few years, and she's somewhat in my age range. So yeah, I definitely would like to play with her. I know we're playing a festival together soon, but it would be cool just to have me and her together too. So maybe I'll speak that into existence.
Yes, I think you just did. I think
Yeah,
you just
yeah.
did. I think you just did.
Promoters, yeah, look us
Promoters,
up.
Come on, get
Yeah.
at her, get at her, get at her. Come on. She's a high commodity. Another question I wanted to ask: mentors. Who are your mentors? Just to give hope to those that want to be aspiring DJs and turntablists and selectors. Who are your mentors? Who?
This is an interesting question because I can't say I have one specific mentor that taught me everything. But I would say it was a group effort.
Okay.
But if there's honestly any two people that I always say, if I did have to say were mentors, it would be Lakuti and Vicky Powell.
Nice.
And Lakuti, her real name is Lorado Kathi, and she is a South African DJ who also runs the European booking agency that I work with.
Nice.
So between her and Vicky Powell, I can say those are two people who have really been behind the scenes, giving me advice and helping me, and just making sure I'm good.
Yeah.
But yeah, Vicky Powell is a big name that I definitely always like to reiterate. But I also like to reiterate too that it's a gradual thing. Kai was there,
Yes.
Stefan was there.
Yeah.
So I definitely think it's beautiful that my process was kind of like a family of people helping along the way. So again, I'm just grateful to have people like that in my life that are willing to answer questions and help me out.
Yeah, Vicky is a beast. She was kind enough to do one of my events for domestic violence awareness at Wild Pitch.
Oh, beautiful.
So it was really great to have her. It was an honor to have, to be in the space with legendary people at any time.
Exactly.
Always a good look and feel. And so I'm just thankful. I'm thankful for them, and I'm thankful for you, Ashleigh.
Thank you so much.
You're a beautiful person, talented, smart, inside and out.
Thank you.
And I just want the best for you. Know that there's some people here in Atlanta that we're pulling for you. We're sending you good energy and good vibes, and we just want you to be successful in every aspect of your life.
Thank you. I really appreciate that, and just love to everybody a part of the Atlanta house music community. Just living in Atlanta these past 12, 13 years, it's just been really, really beautiful, and connecting with the house music community and getting the support from you and everyone else alike has been really great. So thank you.
You're welcome. It's our pleasure. Today, that's my time. I'm going to slide out of here. But today's show, like I said, is powered by, I like this guy, Kayalse. I got his eyewear. Yeah.
Kayalse Eyewear.
KayalseEyewear.com. You go out here and get these fly ass glasses.
Ooh, I love that purple. I love that purple.
I have purple in the box here. We got front. I got mine right here in this box.
Yeah, I like
and I'm going to get my prescription filled so that I can wear my. Look at that. Look at the
little checker. Okay.
Yeah, that's Prime Minister. Yeah. Kayalse.
The ocean in the back.
Yeah, the eyewear. Go to KayalseEyewear.com and get your glasses. Also, I am proud to be one of the sponsors for the Reclamation Project. We had told you to RSVP. The RSVP went live yesterday, and now it is all sold out. There is no more tickets available. We are asking people that RSVP'd. If you're not able to go, please let us know, because we have a wait list. Yes, it's going to be awesome. It is next Saturday, October 23rd, from 7 to 11. For Who She Is, that's the title. And it's all about just embodying and encompassing beautiful women in their art form. It's going to be dope. It is sold out. The RSVP is sold out. Nice. And I am one of the sponsors. And it's Absolutely Divine Events, as well as Lord Yada, Tri-Cities Tattoo. That's where the event is going to be at. Black Women Are My Standard of Beauty, WRFJ Films, and Real Chicks Rock. We are sponsoring this event. We are super excited. We couldn't do any of this without you, so we hope you can come, enjoy, and we look forward to seeing everybody in the place next week. Me, you know where I'm at. I'm at realchicksrock.com. You need to subscribe so you know what's going on, because we blog too. We do some blogging. We do, and we post all of our events on the website too, so you know what we're doing and what's going on and how we're living. And when you miss podcasts, you need to go to the website so you can check them out. Also, I am on Instagram, Real Chicks Rock, as well as Twitter and on Facebook. I enjoyed my conversation with Ashleigh today. She said I could call her Ash.
I enjoyed it as well.
Yeah. I could call her Ashleigh. Yes.
Hey.
Thanks to all the listeners. Get Live Radio in the UK, Germany, and Paraguay. Thank you, WDJY 99.1 FM in the Metro Atlanta, Dallas, Hiram, Powder Springs, and Douglas area. Also, the On Channel subscription channel. Thank you guys for playing our stuff on that channel. And BeatBreakRadioFM.com. That's my time. Until next time, take care and rock on. Bye.